Hi, I'm Jeff Lanoski, and I am on a mission to find out if this Rylo 360-degree camera can replace a motorized gimbal for stabilized action sport footage. This has been my go-to setup for the past 1.5 to 2 years. This is an Evo SS wearable gimbal, and then the camera that I like to use is a Garmin Virb Ultra 30. I was pretty intrigued by the thought of the Rylo because it seems pretty compact, and if you wore it on your body, there wasn't going to be anything sticking out, and it'd be nice and simple and no motorized parts. So I decided to go to the website and check it out. As I surfed around, I found that the Rylo did a lot of things that other 360-degree cameras do. They capture a 360 image, they do the mini world, which you might have seen on some GoPro commercials and things like that, where it shrinks you into a tiny person and then makes a globe around you. It's a pretty cool video effect, but it's not super useful. I was just concerned about how this thing would perform for stabilizing footage. After reading about it on the website and checking out some of the videos they had, I decided to fork over $500 and buy this thing and give it a shot. I got this camera right before I headed to Florida for the Santos Fat Tire Festival, so I brought the Rylo and my motorized gimbal and headed down, and I figured I'd shoot some footage side by side and do some comparisons.
Alright, let's do it.
Here's the gimbal shot on a trail called John Brown at Santos Trailhead in Ocala, Florida. It's pretty much what you would expect from this type of shot. Nice and smooth, flowing, a little bit of camera lag, but nothing too bad. Now it was time to check out how the Rylo handled the same exact trail. In order to use the Rylo, you need the Rylo and a smartphone. It comes in iPhone and Android versions now. And what you do is you shoot some footage, and then you plug this Rylo provided cable into the camera, and then you plug it directly into your phone. That launches the Rylo app that you download, and then you get to check out the footage that you just shot. The Rylo did a great job of stabilizing the footage, but I noticed that if left unattended, the camera would kind of hold a heading and it would basically double back on yourself. So the way that you work around this is you go into the Rylo app and you can scroll and choose different waypoints and tell the camera where to aim. So right now I'm lining it back up, and now I'm telling the camera to look here. Then when you replay it, it'll give you a nice smoother shot and it won't be doubling back on itself quite so much. Once you set all those points, it pretty much looks like a standard gimbal shot, just with a slightly wider angle lens. So I shot a few trails with it in Florida. When I was going in a straight line, it worked great, but those were slow, smooth trails. And when I was riding the bowl of spaghetti with tons of turns and twists, it did have a tendency to double back on myself. You could edit that out, but it's kind of tough. By comparison, I did the same trail with my gimbal, and it did a much better job of capturing what the trail really looked like. Even on some of those tight turns, the motorized gimbal can lag a little bit, but at least it wasn't pointing back at my chest and doing some of that other stuff. The next thing I wanted to see was how this camera handled faster trails with more bumps and stuff like that. So I headed down to Brandywine State Park with my good buddy Bryce Sherbach, and we decided to give this thing a test out on the trail. So here's one of the videos I shot. I can frame this thing up just how I want it again, but as you can see, I'm following Bryce. I'm going to get this thing set up just how I want it. If I wanted to look down at my top tube, I could. If I wanted to look up at the sky on my chin, I could, but I want to settle right in about here. Now this is a fairly fast trail, and it's kind of rough, not super rough, but it's definitely the kind of trail that if you didn't have a gimbal, it would be some pretty rough footage and it would be pretty jarring, especially on like drops like that. And when you come into this little rock section, an unstabilized non-gimbal camera would be pretty unwatchable for all this stuff. After riding with the Rylo down in Florida and Brandywine, I've come to the conclusion that while this thing shoots great images and is super easy to use, it's not going to replace my go-to Evo SS wearable gimbal with the Garmin camera. There's three main reasons why. Picture quality. The Rylo is advertised as recording 4K video. That records the whole entire globe in 4K. But when you export it into the letterbox, the best you're going to get is 1080p or lower. With a camera like this, I could get 4K, 60 frames a second. Aside from the resolution, with a camera like this Garmin, I could adjust white balance, field of views, a lot of different Pro Tune settings that I don't even understand. This microphone hole is really close to the lens, And with such a wide angle lens, it's going to be really hard to put a windscreen over that microphone hole. On cameras like GoPros and Garmin's, it's really easy to get a windscreen, and audio on these videos nowadays, in my opinion, is just as important as picture quality. Last but not least, image stabilization. This thing does a fantastic job stabilizing images, and when you use this camera, you can turn on and off the image stabilization so you could even see how it would look without that turned on. The difference is amazing, but while it's amazing, it's still not as good as the cinematic feel of a motorized 3-axis gimbal. If I put this thing on a pole and follow some riders, or I get followed, the look and feel of it seems like it's out of a Hollywood movie. Based off of picture quality, audio, and overall image stabilization, if I'm doing something quick and easy and it's for Instagram and I want to go out with my buddies and make it super simple, this will be my go-to. And if I'm doing something for YouTube where I want people to watch it on computer screens or TVs, I'm sticking with the Evo SS with the Garmin. That's my review of my first impression of the Rylo 360 camera. As I learn more about this, I'll probably make another video talking about some more of the capabilities that I've discovered. So hopefully you like this video. If you want to follow up on future ones, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And until next time, I'll see you out on the trail.